extraneous talking as little as possible, because it's kind of picking up everything. All right? All right, let's start with the flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Michael Richmond,
Here.
Rich Patterson,
Here.
John Pitts,
Here.
Dan Adams, Craig Palmisano,
Here.
Rich Colson, Johanna Kirsty, Kurt Pizagna, Stephen Secchi,
Here.
Andrew Campbell,
Here.
Sam Friedman, Patty Rosenberg. Here.
Okay, this meeting is being held in accordance with New Jersey statute requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, Sunshine Law. Notice of this meeting has been advertised in the press and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. All applicants are hereby advised that if you receive board approval tonight, you must come forward and sign a form outlining the procedures for obtaining building permits and mercantile licenses. At the conclusion of your case tonight, please approach the board administrator to sign the provided information sheet. Okay, first we're going to start with approval of minutes of the meeting of September 25th, 2025.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All right, and now we're going to do approval of decisions and resolutions 30-2025, Mark and Penny Nicer. 31, 2025, 9612 Monmouth Avenue, LLC, and 32, 2025, Alyssa Miller.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
For both the minutes and the resolutions, is it all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh.
Any opposed? Okay.
No.
And if you weren't here, we'll just note you as an abstention.
Okay. All right. Our first case is Michael and Monica Kellick, 17 North Madison Avenue, Block 229, Lot 313, located in the multifamily zoning district, seeking C variance relief for minimum side yard setbacks and potentially others in order to elevate the single-family home. Current on taxes, water and sewer payments, proof of advertising, and notifications provided. Represented by James P. Swift. Okay, Roger.
No, thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is James Swift. I office at 1335 Chilton Road, Northfield, New Jersey. We're appearing tonight on behalf of Monica and Michael Kellick, who are here with us on the audience. The property is 17 North Madison Avenue. If you can see from the plans, it's a 25-foot wide lot. It's a 100-year-old home. It's presently 4.5 feet below FEMA requirements. It also has no legal parking. Assuming that the board acts favorably on this application, what we're going to have when we finish is a house that has 3 parking spaces where none presently exist, and it will be FEMA compliant. We're seeking also, the board can take a look at the plans, they make a modest addition that will extend to the back of the property. We have a significant amount of backyard space. When we're finished, we will still have obviously less, but and also a significant amount of backyard space. We are making an improvement in terms of the coverage. Presently, if the board acts favorably, we're going to reduce the coverage by 10%, so we'll have more greenery, and more importantly, we're going to have a 21% reduction in coverage in the front yard, also more greenery. As I said, it's 25 feet wide. We're limited in terms of what we can do. What we did, if the board will remember too, we were here in September. We had a neighbor that had significant questions about what we were trying to do. They were confused, not because of the plans, but simply they didn't have an opportunity to look at what we were trying to do. So in the spirit of being neighborly, we consented to continue the application to tonight. We appreciate the fact that the board gave us that opportunity. In the interim, we did speak to the neighbors. We placated them, we answered their questions, we believe they're in favor of what we're trying to do here. But we're gonna have a little bit of a side yard setback. In terms of the new addition, it'll be 4 feet 1 inch. The side yard setbacks on the right side are not gonna be, they're pre-existing non-conforming. We're not gonna exacerbate them in any respect. Candidly, this project, which is before the board, is the result of multiple back and forths, a few machinations, try to come up with a plan that utilizes the space as much as possible. And if the board is, I'm sure, aware, this neighborhood has become a parking issue. We're actually adding 3, we're making it flood compliant. So we think we're being better neighbors. Aesthetically, it's gonna be pleasing. We have with us tonight our architect, Mr. Halliday. I think he spent a lot of time with the counties, coming up with a project which utilizes the space as efficiently as possible, also making it very nice in the consideration of it's a 25-foot wide lot. So at this point in time, if I may, can we have Mr. Halliday brought before the board? I'd like to have him.
Do you want to do your report first?
No, they can continue on this.
Okay.
Mr. Halliday, you can come up and just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Chris Halliday, the architect, 728 West Avenue in Ocean City.
And please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you'll give this evening will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And you've been here several times, so will we accept his credentials?
Thank you.
Is he qualified in that?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Halliday, if you could, can you explain some of the technical aspects of this plan and what we're trying to do before the board?
Sure. I'll be brief and just start with how we started. So the Calix, we met there last summer, a year ago, and just discussed trying to add an in-law suite on that ground floor. After receiving a survey, it was discovered that the house is at 7.74 feet high, whereas 14 is required. So automatically, the house, due to the value and the size and the fact that they wanted to extend, would need to be raised. So we then kind of discussed, okay, how can we pay homage to the existing cottage? I think it's a cute original cottage, and add to it in a graceful way so it doesn't take away from that street presence and the fact that it is a cottage. So we are raising the house to allow for parking. It's a low part of town, so we're raising it to allow for 8 feet parking, which takes the underside of the floor joist to that elevation 14. So the first floor is at elevation 15. And the goal was to have still parents that are alive and with them. They wanted an in-law suite on the first floor. We were able to add that in the back. With the existing setbacks that are in a sucked-in portion, that right now we're a pre-existing mechanical room, laundry room in the back of the house, and just extended that toward the rear. So all the non-conformities and variances are existing. We're not exacerbating them. The neighbor to the bay side was concerned because they park right next to the cows. We tried to explain to them that it should get easier because right now they have a masonry front porch that's about 2 feet above the ground. Now that's going to be raised, so they're going to have a little bit more airspace to open the door and navigate the parking where the front porch is located now. Like any shore house down here, obviously the summertime they have significant guests and families that visit them, which is the reason for the expansion. They also have beach toys, which is why they have additional storage underneath the house. So we did talk about deed restrictions and not being able to use that space for any living space. And the goal is down there is just kayak storage, surfboard storage, beach chairs, etc. Outside of the car parking zone. We did suck in the garage door in the front to allow for a true parking spot, which is further back than the front of the house in the front. So that was one of the things we went over with the neighbors as well. As Mr. Swift said, it's a 100-year-old house. It's a 25-foot wide lot with 5-foot required setbacks and 2 existing plus the 4.1 on that side. There wasn't really a way to avoid coming for a variance in order to raise. So after we discussed that, we just tried to make the plan as efficient as possible. It's not maxed out. We're keeping the roof line the same. We're not ripping the roof off. We're not adding any height to the attic. So we're still significantly lower than what's allowed if a new house were to be built.
And if you could just briefly explain to the board the proposed plans that we have, it's gonna reduce the coverage by,
Yeah, so we're reducing the coverage by 10%. So right now there is a pad here that was at one time used for parking. It is undersized, so with the older cars, pre-70s, you might be able to fit a car there. But now we are removing that hardscape to allow for the house to be raised, to allow for parking underneath, and adding a small stair up to the front porch so that when a delivery man comes, they know how to get to the front door. But that's the reduction in the coverage is getting rid of all that hardscape on the ocean side of the property. Yes, please.
So the house is being raised, you're going to put new footings and block work for the rear additions, correct?
Correct.
How about the, under the house?
It would have a new foundation. under
New
the house,
foundation.
yes. And we are going to raise,
That was my question, because you have 2 feet on that side of the house. 2 feet is this size of tape from here to there. That's 2 feet to the property line. That's what I say, it's shoulder to shoulder, 2 feet.
Right.
Or 25-foot lots, we usually ask for 3 foot minimum or 3.5 feet. We get it with new homes. I realize that this is a raise. Have you thought about shifting the house 1 foot over? You would have 3 feet on one side. But you have 7'9" on the one side. And you only have 2 feet on the other side. I would really like to see that house shifted over at least 1 foot, to have 3 feet there. You're raising it, new foundation, new block work, new fittings, why can't that be done?
talk to the cats.
2 feet,
It is tight. Right.
2 feet for me. I don't. When we go 3.5 feet, that puts an 18-foot house on, for a new home. But, it's an existing home, you're not building a home, but I feel it's you have 7 feet 9 on one side. It's 4 feet, 4.5 inches to the staircase on the other side. So if you go to 1'4", you have 3.5 on one side and 3.5 on the other side, to the staircase. But you would still have 6'5" to the building on both sides.
I understand.
That's
Would it be okay to have 2 minutes to talk to the clients?
that's my, I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but
I would say, I mean, I've raised more than a few houses, and we just raised one a couple of years ago, and we did have to push it back, a foot. So it might say, can be done.
Yeah, we were in this
And-
a couple months ago about a house on Kenyon that we are moving to allow
Right.
additional parking, so I know it's possible.
I know it's more work.
I mean, we're only,
It's more money, that's why I would want the opportunity just to talk to them and see
Right.
if they're open to that,
right.
and providing you with a clear, yes or no, if we are able to do that.
Okay,
Yeah, is that
Sounds
okay?
good.
Take a
Yeah.
minute? Okay.
great.
Thank you.
If they were put a fence up down there, you'd have 2 feet, it's shoulder to shoulder.
Understood, thank you. Yep.
Did you look at this?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
the
that's
building
all.
next door to them.
2 minutes?
And, that thing was, I think, about 2 feet from the line too.
Are we off the record?
Yeah, Patty,
Patty now.
Yeah, we're off the record now. We can't talk about the case.
How about those Blue Jays, huh?
Yeah, the picture.
unbelievable.
That's been like
Unbelievable.
about a month in September.
Yeah.
It's from like outside Philly, I think. Conshohocken or something.
He's from there?
He's from around here,
Really?
like somewhere.
Wow. Yeah, that was, I'm definitely.
Wrong.
And the big discussion is cost, that the owners so they are willing to move it over, but we'll work on the foundation technology with them.
We'll move it over, you said, to,
So 3 feet on that side of the
3
property.
feet on the left.
Yep. It would be on the, facing the house, the left hand side.
Right.
On the left side.
Right. Okay.
Great, and that, any other questions?
Any questions from the board?
I gotta get sworn in.
Oh, okay.
After reviewing the report, we will comply with 1% slope from the rear of the property to the front, per Mr. McLaren's report, and list the DFC, DFC, and height requirements on the fixture elevations, as well as comply with the other items noted on the engineer report.
Okay, great.
All right, and again, Mr. McLaren sworn in for the night. Mr. McLaren, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you'll give this evening will be the truth?
I do.
Thanks.
Thanks. Real quick, Chris, what is your proposed first floor elevation?
First, proposed 15 feet.
15 feet?
Yes.
So by law, they can go to 14 feet and not be here, except for the addition, not a lift. All right, so real quick, again, I'm not going
Did
to,
it with the heights if you'd like, just with the BFE and the overall.
so you're a foot higher than,
Exactly.
right, that's fine.
And now we raised it that additional foot in order to allow for that additional grade to properly slope the property from back to.
That makes, yeah, it's a long property, so there's a lot of grade change to get to the back.
There's about a 7-inch grade change in the back.
And I do want to point out that you are following the ordinance where it's only, you're keeping it 2 stories above parking on a narrow lot,
Correct.
which is favorable. Go to variances real quick. In the zoning chart on page 2 of my report, the front yard setback for the building and front yard setback to the decks, it's existing non-conforming. They're not moving it closer to the street. This is another problem with our prevailing setback requirements. You know, if you go by the ordinance, it says the front yard starts where the existing house is. That's not changing. But if you base it on the average within 200 feet, it's a variance. So 24.77 feet is the prevailing, and 16.33 feet for the building is the proposal. It's existing and proposed. That's a variance because they're going higher than BFE plus 3 to the bottom of the floor. Same thing, the porches and the decks. Again, it's only the first floor porch that they're maintaining. 10.89 feet is the prevailing front yard setback. 8.1 feet exists and 8.1 feet is proposed. Again, they're not moving the face of the building. And the other 2 variances are, actually it's 1 variance, minimum side yard setback. On the left side, 2 feet exists based on the survey data from Daniel Ponzio. Originally it was 2.17 feet was proposed and 4.08 feet for the addition. So I guess that 4.08 feet will go to 5 feet then, right?
Right.
So that will comply.
The addition will be compliant.
Right.
Great.
And the 2.17 feet becomes 3.17 feet, and that's the existing portion of the building. Again, it's existing, not conforming. And I believe that's it for the variances. They did not request any waivers, and as they put on the record, they will comply with the recommendations of the report. And again, it's his basic application, and I wish the owners well.
Anyone from the public like to speak? Public portion is closed. Yeah.
Okay. Roger, is that going to be on the left side, 3 feet or 3.17?
Great.
He said he'll change it to match 3 feet. Or
3 feet. Okay. And then
you want to make it 3.1 feet so you comply with the windows? And
I
the-
think the house is slightly candid because of the age. The front corner on Ponzio's survey is listed at 2. So I figured I'd take that to 3.
Okay.
Just to, that front left-hand corner.
And then by
is
moving it
at 2
over,
on Ponzio's survey.
they still have the 5 on the right, correct?
Yeah.
It'll be 5 and a left back.
Okay. All right, I'm just making sure I didn't trigger on the other side. So
No.
it's a C variance application. The
right,
variances
right,
are the
yeah.
following. The front yard setback's at 16.33 feet, staying there, but the requirement is 24.77 feet. And there's the front yard setbacks to the porches and decks. 10.89 feet required. There are 8.1 feet existing and proposed. And on the side yard setback, the requirement's 5 feet. And they're gonna, as a condition of approval, move the house over, so it'll be 3 feet. And then to the addition, it's now compliant. So those are the variances. They didn't request any waivers. The condition, I'll note that they're gonna ship the house.
The addition still is a variance. It's 8 foot is a minimum for the MF.
So 8 foot's the requirement
Yeah.
for the side yard setback? So the right side might be a variance then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
7.6,
6.9, wasn't it, the right side?
so it'd be 5 points, or 6.6. So yes, a variance is needed on the right. Yeah,
So 6.6 feet, Chris, on the right side?
Yes.
Okay. And eight, so eight's the requirement in the end, okay, that's confusing. And, they didn't request any waivers, in terms of conditions, I'll note that they're gonna shift the house over, subject to any outside approvals that might be required, subject to anything in Mr. McLaren's report unless otherwise addressed, and the applicant will comply with any representations it made during the course of the hearing. Need a motion and a second, or a roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Mr. Halliday just a few housekeeping questions?
Sure.
Yes.
Mr. Halliday, are you familiar with the Municipal Land Use Act?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Margate zoning ordinances?
Yeah.
Did you take the requirements in the Land Use Act and the zoning ordinances into consideration in coming up with this plan?
Yes.
And obviously you spent a lot of time being, let's say, cognizant of any impact you might have on the neighbors.
Yes.
And the way this is proposed, you have 3 parking spaces where none existed.
Correct.
And you had consideration in terms of what the setbacks are. You're obviously going to comply with the recommendations of this board tonight. Is your professional opinion that this application has no, let's say, the benefits outweigh any negatives?
I think the benefits outweigh any detriments. We're raising the house out of the flood zone, we're making it more livable and habitable over a long term, and improving an existing 100-year-old house.
And obviously a more improved, aesthetically pleasing streetscape, is that true?
Yes.
And did you use modern construction? It's a 100-year-old house. Did you design this with modern day, let's say, planning considerations?
I did. We're gonna figure out the structure and move forward with the move and the foundation. And then Mr. McLaurin's here on what you've seen in this area as far as pilings versus helicals versus spread footings and soil tests, et cetera. So we'll move forward with that as if we receive our approval.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Mike Richmond,
I'm going to approve it. I think that they're preserving a house, they're raising a house, they're getting out of the flood zone. They agreed to move it over to 3 feet, which I think also benefits the structure because it doesn't involve so much fire protection, so I'm going to approve it.
Rich Patterson,
I'd like to thank the applicant for following the suggestion of the board to move the house over. I approve the application.
Thank you.
Craig Palmer-Simon,
Yes, with the changes, I accept it also. I approve.
Johanna Preston,
I approve it, and I think the neighborhood will benefit from the increase in off-street parking.
Thank you.
Stephen Giuseppe,
Yes, I think there's an improvement of the neighborhood and an improvement on the house. I think it's good. I approve. Thank you.
Drew Campbell,
I also approve, and I also echo my fellow board members on the improvements and changes that you made.
Thank you.
Patty Rosenberg,
I approve. I'm delighted to see an older home improved and saved.
Thank you.
John Pitts,
These narrow lots that we have in Margate are challenging. You have an existing older home, glad to see you raising it. You've maximized, I think, what you can do on a narrow lot. I approve. Good luck.
Thank you.
motion carries, 8 in favor and 0 opposed.
Thank you very much.
All right. Our next case is Richard and Joan Rosenblatt, 618 North Douglas Avenue and 7800 Bayshore Drive, Block 1005, lots 8 and 9, located in the S40 zoning district, seeking C variance relief for 2 third-floor decks not fronting Douglas Avenue, a fence within the front yard setback, and potentially others. Current on taxes, water and sewer payments, proof of advertising, and notifications provided. Represented by Jack Proctor.
I think, for the record, Johanna stepped down.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the record, Johanna Persky stepped down for this application. And Roger, did you want to say anything? Or you...
I'll let Jack lead off on this.
Sure.
I can do it.
Very pleased with the board, Jack Clacker, appearing for the applicant, Richard and Joan Rosenblatt. This is for bulk variance approval. We have here a rendering that our architect's going to testify about, but essentially what we're trying to do is, this is a home under construction, so the question is, why are we here? The home's under construction, and actually, Rich Rosenblatt and his wife were sitting right there. Rich actually was born in this house, and he's been involved with this house for over 60 years. And what happened was, he was adjacent to another home, and the home was an eyesore, and it was dilapidated, and I've seen pictures of it, and I can tell you the inside was just terrible. So he actually purchased the house with the idea that he wants to keep both of these homes for the use by his family. And originally, he had proposed his home, and I think you'll find that it's lovely. It's not one of the typical black and white homes. It's done by Deborah from Azure. And he actually walked up to the 3rd floor while the house was framed. The gentlemen who are constructing it, Leeds builders that are here as well. And what he saw was, he saw a beautiful view from the bed. And I just have if I could just present a picture of what it looks like from that 3rd floor. Pass it around for you. Thank you so much. And he said, boy, I'd really like to take advantage of that view. So he had Deborah redesign it. And he put in, because of the way the house is oriented, why are there 2 decks? You can see there are 2 very lovely dormers at the 3rd floor level. And he wanted to do 2 small decks, but he was sure that Deborah made sure that the size of the decks is not larger than 1 deck would be, because 1 deck is permitted. And also, the other interesting thing is, if you look at the Margate ordinance, before it changed, it said that if a house is adjacent to the bay, you're allowed to have 3rd floor decks, but they have to face the bay. Now, this is a little bit of an anomaly because it's a side yard, but this is the view you see is actually facing the bay, and the word used in the ordinance is adjacent. So essentially, what we're asking for is relief to do 2 decks, but otherwise totally compliant with the ordinance, and it doesn't exceed the square footage that one deck would have. In addition, now the ordinance is amended, and it says that if you have a house that's not on the bay, the decks have to front the street for Douglas Avenue. Here, it's fronting the bay, it is a side yard, but the only impact that it really has is on the existing home. It's already on Bayshore Avenue. The only other variance that we're seeking is that you'll see in the testimony, originally there's a white vinyl fence right on the property line that extends from the existing house on Bayshore Drive to the new house. And rather than keep that white vinyl fence, he thought it would be nice to put in a kind of a wrought iron fence with landscaping in front of it. And he's proposing to move that fence from the property line back 3 feet. So in essence, it's aesthetically more pleasing, and it's a better planning alternative, we think, to what's there now. At this time, I'd just like to call Deborah Sloan, who's our licensed architect.
Sure. Just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Deborah Sloan, 115 West Ave, Street, Drive, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Just spell your last name, I'm sorry.
Of course, it's SLAUNWhite.
Okay, Ms. Sloan-White, can you please raise your right hand? You swear affirm the testimony you'll give this evening to be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Swanwhite, you were engaged by Roger Gladys to be the architect of the project, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you're a partner with Asher and Associates, is that correct?
Yes,
Have you been to the site on one or more occasions?
multiple times.
And in connection with that, the plans you're going to testify from tonight will be prepared by you under your direction.
Yes,
And finally, you are licensed in architecture in the state of New Jersey. So I would offer Ms. Swanwhite as an expert in architecture as a New Jersey licensed architect. Accept.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you then now describe the existing conditions and proposal for the site?
as interaction, the clients approached our firm about 1.5 years ago. They've lived at the property at 7800 Shore. The property at 618 Douglas became available. Clients purchased the land, or purchased the property, tore down the existing home, which was very dilapidated and really blight on the neighborhood. Our firm was engaged to design a new single-family home for the lot at 618 Douglas. Drawings are on file with your city hall. It is under construction. I was just there this afternoon. Rough framing is basically complete, so you can walk up to the 3rd floor. These builders, also in the audience here, is the contractor on the project. When the framing was high enough up that the client could access the 3rd floor, they were very pleasantly surprised that they could actually see past their other home to the bay. So they approached us in light of the idea that Margate does allow 3rd floor roof decks, with the idea that we could potentially add a 3rd floor roof deck to our design for the home that is under construction. As already been mentioned, your zoning code has a lot of regulations around roof decks, the size, the shape, the location. We conform with all of the zoning code around roof decks with one exception. We did 2 exceptions. We split the one size into 2 separate roof decks for the idea of maintaining the symmetry of the home and keeping those decks smaller. They're really intended only for the primary residence of this home. They are not intended for renovation. They do conform with the concept of the 50% of the decks below. They are the correct width for the length of the house. They are placed with intention outside of 2 existing dormers, which are approved and again, already constructed. They conform with all of your bulk requirements. And they are on the side of the house that has direct line of sight to the bay, as you can see in the photo that was passed around.
And just for the board's information, can you tell us what the dimensions are of each of the 2 decks?
They're roughly 4.5 by 5 feet, each one individually. Again, they're accessed through sliding glass doors that come out of these 2 existing dormers from 3rd floor spaces in the home.
So you're not going to put dining tables out on there, lounge chairs?
Not-
Just might be for
This is morning coffee.
wife Joan to maybe have a cup of coffee or those kind of things, enjoy the view.
Yes.
Please continue.
Do you have any questions on the roof decks before we continue on to the fence?
So the dormers are approved.
The dormers conform.
So,
with-
right, so the dormers can have windows in them.
The dormers.
They do.
conform.
Yeah, so you can get a view from the windows without having to stand.
You can, but you cannot step outside and really enjoy
Right.
that view.
Okay.
So yes, there are windows that are there. That's actually how we found the view. Was
Okay.
through the idea of having the control.
Thank you.
So you all also have this document in your packet here. This is a site plan as prepared by Good Grounds Design, a landscape architect that we collaborated with. When thinking about this pair of homes as a family gathering area, the existing fence that is at 7800 Bay Shore does run right along the edge of their property line. It is about a 5-foot tall vinyl fence. There is no landscaping between the sidewalk and that existing fence. So as a pedestrian, you're walking down the length of Bay Shore right up against white plastic. Our client would like to take that existing fence on 7800 Bay Shore and push it back onto their property roughly 3 feet, essentially making their side and rear yard smaller, but providing a living fence for the pedestrian walking by on this elevation of Douglas Ave. We would then continue that same 5-foot tall fence to the new home at 618. So it would come across about 16 feet and then cut back and attach to the deck. So again, the variance we're seeking with regards to the fence is its location in the front yard. Mr. McLaren indicated a variance regarding the height of the fence. We have no intention of putting a 6-foot tall fence along this property line. That was our mistake for not indicating the height clearly on the drawings. But the client does in fact want a 5-foot tall fence. The amount of open area in the front yard still exceeds your landscape requirement, even if we do relocate this fence to essentially create a larger side yard and a smaller front yard. We still meet all of the landscape requirements for the front yard area.
Yeah, Ms. Longway, in your opinion, this proposal, what you told us about, does it further any purposes of the Margate zoning?
I believe it does. I believe that we have taken through creative design, we've adapted or interpreted your 3rd floor deck regulations and actually adapted it to this home to be a more meaningful, pleasant design. I would argue that conforming with the idea of one roof deck, it actually created one larger, somewhat awkward situation on the roof, whereas again, by coming out of those existing dormers on the smaller decks, we have actually created a better visual environment. I believe the same argument can apply to moving this fence. We are taking a 5-foot tall plastic fence, removing it from the sight line, in fact, replacing it with a more attractive fence, and then landscaping along, so the person walking by is going to have a much more pleasant experience.
How about the location, the fact that the deck's on front on Douglas Avenue, in front of
Again, I would argue that it actually makes more sense to have them face on the side of the home because that is where my line of sight to the bay is. It also mitigates the impact on the front facade. We really couldn't put one on the front of this house with the current facade.
Do the benefits outweigh the detriment if the board sees 50 grand for variances in your opinion?
I believe it does. I believe that the variances we're asking are such a de minimis variation from a deviation from the entire zoning code.
Have you formed an opinion whether the variance could be granted without substantial detriment to the public good or the zoning plan or zoning ordinance of the city of Margate?
I believe it can.
And finally, have you reviewed the conditions of Mr. Clement's professional report?
Yes.
And if so, the applicant going to agree with it?
They are. We had no comments. Again, the only thought we had about this document was variance is required. We are more than happy to commit to a 5-foot tall fence as opposed to a 6-foot.
But otherwise, we do agree with all the conditions?
Yes, absolutely. Of course.
The fence now, the fence right here, is on the property line?
Yes.
Yes.
How long's that been there? Okay.
Rich, how long has your fence been there?
He's got to be sworn in.
It's been there like 10 years or so?
No.
Just give us your name and address, I'll get you sworn in real quick.
Richard Rosenblatt, 7800 Nation Drive.
Okay, Mr. Rosenblatt, do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Thanks.
That particular fence, when we remodeled the home 15 or so years ago, replaced a wooden fence that had been there. I was born in 1965, as far as I know, it was been there. There was fence on that line since 1965, or maybe 1964, when my parents built the house.
Okay, that's interesting. So you replaced the wooden fence with this plastic fence? And in the rear of the property, you want to put that living fence back there too, correct?
The goal is,
That's what it shows, or says.
we have to fence the entire property for pool safety, and yes, there would be landscape around.
And you also want to move this new fence, the living fence, 3 feet in from the property line, from this existing one?
Exactly,
3 feet
yes,
in.
yes.
Still requires a variance.
Yes, it does. Okay, that's all right.
So I got a question. So this the fence right here that you want to move back 3 feet?
Correct.
So that if you move that back, all those shrubbery and trees would be gone?
They are in desperate need of being replaced anyway, so they will be replaced.
Well, we're putting the landscaping, as you see here, on the other side of the fence, so
Exactly.
somebody walking by would see new landscape.
So the new fence would go in, there would be landscaping on the street elevation as well as within the backyard. So when you're at the pool, there will be green on both sides of the fence.
Why are you asking, what is the reasoning, thinking for the front yard fence variance on the new property?
It's really to create a better space here and provide more privacy for that side porch.
Okay.
You know, the existing fence, if we carry it straight across, we could leave the existing fence and then put a conforming fence on the Douglas Ave. But the idea of, by pushing this fence back 3 feet and kind of getting back to the streetscape and carrying it across, we thought was a better scenario than leaving that existing fence and cutting this one in. If we're forced to conform with the zone, with the fence on 618, we'll have to leave the other fence forward at the street line where it's currently existing, just because of space in the backyard. We're trying to make it a nicer space.
I want to comment on that you're not affecting the back or side yards. That's the front yard.
Yes, but by encapsulating the space, we're making the side yard.
Right, you're turning the side yard into the front yard. That area between the house and the sidewalk is front yard.
Yes.
Right. So you're using that as your rear yard and side yard.
We're capturing the space in what is the.
Right, but you made an earlier comment that you're sacrificing your side and backyard. You're not. It's the front yard.
You're correct, it is the front.
Well, but I think what we thought of though is when you look at the area, when we did calculate it,
This area.
if we kept the fence where it was, what we're really giving up, we're actually giving up more than what we're asking. Because moving this fence back 3 feet, the landscaping on the side, that area exceeds what we're capturing on the other house. We thought that it was a good planning alternative, you'll have to also do it.
Right, and we did meet and discuss that, and aesthetically, this is probably a better looking alternative. But the concern I have is there's not going to be a fence between the two properties, correct?
Well, there was no plan to because it's owned by the same party, but the reason we fenced it so it's secured because if you have a pool, it's required that you have to fence the entire pool, and that's what this functions as. We would agree if we ever sold it to put a fence in, or if the board feels really strongly, we could put a fence in now. We just didn't see a need to necessarily do that at this point.
Right, I had a discussion with our construction code official, and we both feel the same way, that the fence is ideal. However, since the same ownership is on both sides, as a condition of any approval, that if one house is rented out or sold, either or, a fence would have to be constructed by the owner of the pool.
And I think that would benefit everyone, correct? I mean,
Right.
The Rosenblatt will always own this corner property if there's no intention to rent or sell the 618 Douglas. But if you did rent or sell and the primary homeowner was still here, we would want a privacy fence.
Right.
and a safety fence.
I mean, I had that discussion, so if you get approval tonight without the fence, then you go to get the permits, you might get jammed up. I just want to avoid
I would
that.
agree with that condition.
Okay, thank you.
A variance goes with the property, it doesn't go with the people, so if the house is sold, then you've got, I mean, that's a detriment to have those side yard, third floor decks. I mean, we have to look at it and say, well, the property's sold, then you got people complaining that the decks are overlooking. We've only approved one, I think one non-front facing deck, and it was so buried in the back roof, you couldn't even see it was there. Other than that, we've been pretty strict on it.
So the concern is that if by granting this, the idea that you would have, that these decks would be seen by the home at 7800 Bay Shore?
If the
Well-
property is sold, you now have different people with the decks overlooking the common yard. That's
There
why we have
are-
the rule to have them facing the street.
There are second floor decks that also honestly
I
have a
understand that.
very direct line of sight. The third floor decks are actually set further back from the facade and are in a roof. So you cannot walk up to the edge and actually look down at the neighbor, at what would be the neighboring yard. I hear your concern, but we did intentionally set them further back. They are very smaller with the idea that one or two people can be out there, you're not having concrete out there. And that same direct line of sight is available to you from a rather large second and first floor decks. They all are oriented towards the bay.
And of course, if somebody bought the house, they obviously would see the existing condition. It's not like we're now imposing a new condition. So we kind of thought this was a unique case, and they would like to take advantage of the bay view if possible. Yes, sir.
I would like to see the front of the house on 618 with the front porch. I would like to see the fence not come out past the front of that house. I always have a problem with fences in Margate. We don't allow them to come past the front of the house. So if you brought the fence down to the 618, the existing fence that's coming out, and made an L shape there, it would eliminate that part of the lot. It would just be on this section here.
And that certainly is an option, and that would eliminate the need for any fence
Where
variance.
the front of the house is on Bay Shore Drive, actually technically two fronts.
Yes.
But the front door and everything is on Bay Shore Drive. There is no fence there. It's down the side.
Yes.
But this one is the front of the house. And it's just worded that way more, like front of the house. So I would like.
What are you saying?
Right here, at the front of this house,
Right,
fence continue here and come back this way and there.
right. Well, that's legal.
Then we wouldn't be here.
Then you want to be, well, for that,
But not this section fence.
huh?
Not this part is legal.
I,
Just that would be, 618.
what do you mean that's not?
Right, I think they could do that on 618 without.
Well, they were approved for that
That's
originally.
what they're approved for,
A fence there, at the front of 618.
and they wouldn't have to.
Well,
they wouldn't
jogged
really
in.
have to move the other one back.
Exactly. If we chose to put the fence at 618 conforming, so it came off the front of the house
Yeah,
and
Right.
then forward,
Yeah, that's what I like
we
to
would
see.
most likely then leave the fence that's on 7800 Bay Shore right on the property line, right where it is.
Not on the property line, 3 foot in.
No,
No.
it's existing, we would choose to leave it right where it is, if that's the trade-off we make.
Really?
I believe so. It's an existing fence, we just wouldn't touch it. We were intending to make it better by pushing it back, but if you would prefer us to not seek a fence variance, then we will need a variance.
Why couldn't you put the metal fence there?
We've been approved for that, we could. We were asking for relief to change it. We were asking to make this condition better and be allowed to carry it across.
Okay.
I hear your argument, you're right. I mean, the existing, we are approved already by right to have a fence that comes off of here. The hope was if we are able to push this fence back and create a better visual environment for the whole streetscape, that the board would find it appropriate that we would carry that all the way across and then come back to the new home.
Bit of a technical,
We have a lot of trouble with the front of the houses, exceeding past the front porch. With the fence.
little bit of a technical question. This is two properties, yet it's a
Yes.
single
Right.
variance application? How,
No, the variance is for lot 618.
that's it?
That's it,
The fence on the other lot already exists.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Roger, in your opinion, they could, if they wanted to, move that back and replace it. And they included both lots and blocks in the application. Just,
Well,
I think out of
because-
more out of abundance of
Because by
caution.
moving it back, it still required a variance, because it's still in the front yard, even with the new location, correct? It's only set back 3 feet. Right.
So, I have a question. So, we're talking 6 feet here in the fence from where you want it if it comes to the end of the porch, is that what you're saying?
No, he was asking that it come off the porch this way.
Yeah, to the end of, yeah, if it comes, so right now, it's, you know, maybe 7 feet, you know, it's coming, the porch,
Currently, it goes
yeah, from
13 feet or 16 feet this direction, parallel to Douglas, and then turns back to the house.
16 feet, but if he's asking you to cut it back to the end of the porch, I mean, that's about.
I don't believe that was his
No.
request.
Oh,
Yeah, from the
I'm
porch,
sorry, I
from the porch,
misunderstood.
Oh, from the porch, not the house.
from the porch, equal to the front, because the porch is equal to the front of the house. So therefore, we don't.
The side
like
porch.
fences-
You want it like
We don't like fences to come out past the house.
So you would like the fence to go from the porch straight
Equal,
across?
yes,
So we're talking about two different,
Is the porch in the house the same?
yes.
essentially,
Yes.
From the side porch.
Side
10-foot fence there, it would be 10 foot, and then would look like 12 foot.
and then it would touch the existing fence, to be honest. There is an existing
Why
fence.
do you insist on keeping the existing fence though?
Why would we insist on keeping this existing fence along?
Should that be a black living fence all the way? No. You're gonna change it anyway, all the way, right?
We were
That was
going
the plan.
to change it for the benefit of the whole streetscape.
Yes, to go
But
all the way.
Yes.
And if we say don't go 10 feet short, you don't wanna put it in?
Right.
That's what you're saying to me.
That is a question for,
I'm over.
I would say for a client.
Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. So,
They don't have
that's,
to.
So the question is, would you still
Why
move
would you
this
change the fence? Why would you leave it?
because they don't have to. It's yeah.
Their leverage.
I can't, is he saying?
Right.
If you took it here,
No.
No,
To the existing red
Yeah.
line where the fence is.
he would like the fence to come across here.
which was
Which
something
is
for
by
which
right.
we don't need a
So then
variance.
Exactly.
Right, so, and what we're asking for is, I mean, I can make some, I'd be willing to make some concessions around the deck. I mean, the preference would be to have the fence extend to the length of the deck so that we have the privacy associated with it. But if we were to take it to the corner of the deck, so it's not further down, I think I could probably live with that. I obviously could live with it. Yeah, so it would be to that corner. Again, we lose some of the benefit of what we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, and that's really all we're really asking
Your
for.
shrubbery actually hides the deck kind of, right? Your shrubbery
Yes.
would hide the deck.
There would be shrubbery there,
Yes.
yeah. Well, actually, I haven't given any thought to what would be if we're gonna change the landscaping with the fence, I don't know what the impact of that would be. I'd have to talk to the landscaping people. So
Yeah,
that
the
was-
crush shell walkway and stuff.
Yeah,
That would have to be changed somewhat.
Somewhat,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I don't want to overstate the need, but I think from a design perspective, we thought that would be more aesthetically pleasing, both from the street and from our perspective, but I understand your
Yeah, it
concern.
just opens up trouble for us throughout the city.
Right. Well, I guess in answering your original question was we weren't intending to remove that fence at all. That was never an intent. When we met with the city to talk about this possible plan, one of the things we thought about was, okay, to get this, because if we move the fence in, we are losing some space in the backyard, right? Which is something that we prefer not to do. But we thought as a concession, in order to get what I thought was going to be, and I appreciate the concerns about precedent, but as a concession, we thought we would agree to give you something back in order to get something in return. That was the idea behind the planning.
Yes, you're giving something back, but what you have now is not a legal fence.
but it's there, it's existing. We're not talking about that fence. We're not talking about the fence, we're only talking about the variance, okay?
But you have extensive landscaping inside that fence.
Yes.
I don't, you're not gonna lose anything. The fence is gonna be where the landscaping is. The landscaping's just moving on the other side of the fence.
But we're then landscaping inside the fence as well.
Well, we thought it was reducing the degree of non-conformity. It was 0 when we were
Right.
putting it back.
Okay, anybody else from the board have anything? Craig, you okay? You done?
Okay, anybody, public?
Huh?
Public? What are you gonna?
Yeah, I know, but
Wanna make sure you're good.
I'm all right, I'm all right.
Anyone from the public portion? Anyone from the public like to speak?
Evening.
Name and address, please.
Joel Chipkin, 7802 Marshall Avenue.
Mr. Chipkin, do you swear affirm the testimony you'll give this evening will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Welcome, ex-alumni of the board.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah?
It's good to be here. A long time ago. Good evening, everyone. Joel Chipkin. I am a neighbor of the applicant and not within 200 feet, about a block and a half away. I am here to support the application. This is, and the property at 618 was described as dilapidated, blight, is an understatement. It was a terrible property in this neighborhood. It really brought the neighborhood down. And what the owners now want to do with this property is beautify the neighborhood, and it's a beautiful home right now. The construction has really elevated the neighborhood. These are individuals who want to make this a family property, and the whole neighborhood of ours is in favor of what they are requesting here, and we would ask the board to please consider the application and grant the application. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, public portion's closed. Leo? I'm sorry, there's a, are we good?
Couple things. Close it, nobody else wants to speak?
More from the board, you want to say something?
Yeah, well, I just, wondered rather than, I understand what you're saying and about this could be a problem down the road with other properties, is what you're saying, if we allow this. I'm just wondering if they cut it back, so it's only going over about 6 feet, maybe it's in line with the porch, where they have the gate, where the return is back to the gate. They don't have much in the backyard. It's almost like this is, obviously this is more of their backyard. Because it's, they've oriented the house. But, I don't know. Just my thought.
Okay.
And in these cases, they don't really set precedent unless you can find an almost identical case and so I just want to make that clear. Every case we look at separately on the merits. But there's a couple things going on here. I think we should have a little discussion because the variances are sort of, as I see them, sort of three categories. You got the decks on the side yard. Then you have the fence on the Bayshore property that they'd like to move back 3 feet with the 5-foot iron fence. And then they want to extend that onto 618 North Douglas. And so, Jack, I'll defer to you. I mean, how we might want to separate some of these votes, or if we want to have more discussion, because I don't...
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, where you don't want to lose the decks if the fence gets shot down.
Right. Yeah, the only thing I would say is, to agree with Leo, is that, I understand the board and certainly we respect your decision, but I think this is a somewhat unique situation where you have like a family compound, and it really doesn't, just because you approve, if you were to approve something, part of this or all of this, it doesn't really create a precedent, because each case does clearly stand on its own, and the neighbors in favor of it. We think it's more aesthetically pleasing. We think, quite frankly, it's a better planning alternative. But again, you'll have to make that decision, and we're here to work with you and try to get it approved. But I would ask you to separate the cases.
All right. So we're going to separate?
I thought as we do 3 separate votes, one on the side decks, third floor side decks, one to allow the Bayshore property, if you wish, depending on how everything else plays out, to move it back to 3 feet. And then the third, which was sort of related to the second, to extend that fence onto 618 North Douglas.
They won't move the other fence unless they get approval for the other fence. on 618.
You wouldn't think, but they might want to at least reserve that right to if,
Would they need a variance
Yes.
to move the existing fence in 3 feet?
I would look at it as maintaining something that's already existing non-conforming, and actually some of it's in the city's right of way.
well,
I'd like to
that's
see
Roger's
pushback.
opinion, and we can eliminate that as a variance, I think it'll.
As long as you're not increasing the height, I think it's maintenance.
If they moved it in, they wouldn't need a variance.
I don't think so, no.
So I think we can keep it as two, and that's on the record, so at the Bay Shore property. So we're gonna take two separate votes. Any preference which we do first?
Let's do the decks first.
Okay. All right, so the first vote, now I'll state upfront the conditions. If there's this more pertains to the decks, but, I guess it pertains to the fence too, as far as, you'd want a fence separating, yeah, that's more to the fence. If you're approved, the condition will be if you rent or sell the home, you'll put the.
Either one.
You'll put a fence, either one. Either house is rented or sold, you put the fence between the properties.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's gonna be a condition. Before we do the votes, I'll just note, if anything's approved, anything else in Mr. McLaren's report, subject to any outside approvals that may be necessary. I'll note that on the Bay Shore property, they can move the fence back 3 feet and replace it at 5 feet, as Roger indicated. And as far as the votes, we'll separate them. The first vote, which is all we're voting on, is the 2 third-floor side decks. Our decks are required to face the street. They want them on the sides for the reasons that they presented. And we'll need a motion and a second, a roll call vote on the third-floor deck variances.
We're doing the decks first?
Yes.
Okay.
Just decks.
Anyone
I'll
like
make
to?
that motion. Second.
Mike Richmond?
Okay, so you're still gonna get a view, whether you have the decks there or not. Our ordinance only allows decks in the front. For a long time, for many years, we would require a variance for any deck on the third floor. We finally came to the point, because of our retired firemen here, that with the height of the houses, it was beneficial to have a third floor deck in case there was a fire. So, somebody didn't have to carry somebody down a 40-foot ladder, which I'm sure anybody that's involved in firefighting. I really, personally, I don't see any compelling argument to allow the side yard deck, so I'm going to vote no on that one.
Rich Patterson?
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I haven't heard compelling elements. I'd rather stick with the intent of the master plan.
Greg Palmisano?
I would vote for deck anywhere on the house on the third floor. I vote yes for the decks.
Steve Giuseppe?
I'm in agreement with Mike and Rich in the sense that, we were struggling not to have decks on the third floor, but we did want to have them for evacuation purposes, and that would be in the front of the house. So I vote no.
Drew Campbell?
I appreciate you buying that house and fixing it up. It's definitely needed. And it'll help improve the neighborhood and the neighbors. But the third floor decks, as my other colleagues have said, are not allowed. It's actually this, when I look at that, the second floor deck is impeding on a neighbor's, I don't know, dining room or bedroom or something like that. That's the one I would be more concerned with if I lived there, is that one of those second floor decks. Perhaps maybe trees could be put up high enough to, block any kind of thing. So I'm going to vote no on the decks.
Patty Rosenberg.
This is a charming house you've designed. And, the idea of the family compound is really nice. I see so many unused decks around this town on the upper floors, and I think because of everything that everybody else has said, I'm gonna vote no on the decks also.
John Pitts.
Nothing more to add, I vote no.
Motion fails, 1 in favor and 6 opposed.
All right, we still have another vote to take. And that's as it pertains to 618 North Douglas. That's to allow the fence as shown on the plans, 5 feet in height, Roger, which would be compliant in height, correct?
Correct. For a pool
And
or without a pool.
And 3 feet off the property line for that section as shown on the plans.
Yes.
The height's compliant, so it's just that fence location in the front yard. Need a motion and a second.
Motion?
Second.
Mike Richmond.
Okay, so again, I know the argument that well, not the argument, or whatever, that as a trade-off, you're gonna move this fence back and put the landscaping in. But the bottom line is, it's a fence in a front yard setback, which we don't allow. And we've denied it, and we've got a lot of pushback from people and a lot of, but that really doesn't matter. But in this situation, again, I don't really see a compelling argument to allow the front fence, so I'm gonna say no.
Rich Patterson.
I see the benefit to the neighborhood of the house. I lived near there. I know what that house was like. This is a great addition to the neighborhood. But I don't see any benefit to the neighborhood to have that fence in the front yard. I vote no.
Craig Palmisano.
This has been there a very long time. There's a permit in the fence, I imagine, in the legal fence, where it's placed. I'm against going in front of 618 in front of that building. I would stay with the 3 foot that you're giving us on the other, and not in front of the 618 house. I vote no.
Steve Giuseppe.
We have to make a decision before on a half-mile fence. And I thought this is very nice, and for the same reason, I vote no.
Drew Campbell.
I as well vote no on the fence.
Patty Rosenberg.
I would hope that you would do the pushback and landscaping along the base of the house and maybe come up with a different configuration that meets, complies with the law for the fencing at the Huntington Avenue. So I'm going to vote no.
John Pitts.
Yeah, and we're sort of obligated to show some benefit to the community for a variance. The community with this front yard fence, it's a benefit only to the owner. In this case, we're obligated to vote no. I vote no.
Motion fails, 0 in favor and 7 opposed.
Clarification. Just in talking to the applicant, he indicated that the decks, if we were able to do them, if we sold the house and we took them out, that would be a response to.
Leo? Did you hear that?
What was the question? If you put the decks in, but then if you sell the house, you remove them? If the board wants to entertain discussion on that, I don't have an issue with it.
You're still approving it.
Yeah,
You'd be approving it with the condition that if either house is,
personally, I don't
Either
want to have
house is
I don't want to have a discussion on it. that's not my decision. Does anyone else want to talk about it? Anyone from the board? Rich? No. No, okay.
Do we have the third, or is that?
No, that's it. That's it.
So I have to stay.
All righty. Everything working? You working? Is it thing working?
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope.
You want me to wait a second and let them get out of here?
Yeah. Why don't we take it like a...
All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Board members, let everybody clear out. In a second.
Okay.
All right,
We're good.
here we go. All right, our third case is Tammy Rosen, 103 South Elk. Huh?
Our attorney's not here.
Oh, sorry. Does he have to be? He does? Okay. So, probably got, there he is.
Go ahead.
All right. Our third case is Tammy Rosen, 103 South Argyle Avenue, Block 1.02, Lot 2, located in the S30 zoning district, seeking C variance relief for right side yard, rear yard, building coverage, and potentially others in order to renovate an existing single-family home. Carolyn Wooder, taxes and sewer payments, proof of advertising and notifications provided, represented by Eric Goldstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Goldstein on behalf of the applicant. What we have tonight, an existing historic house, fairly old, we think, and testimony for the years old, that property owner has sometimes decided what to do with the property, because it is a beach lot property, and it's a true double lot. There are too many of those. And we talked about ideas of how the family could, similar to the prior application, keep the house in the family, various iterations of potentially doing a compound, subdividing it and having 2 homes. Property owners thought it would be better to try to save this house. I'm sure everybody has seen it. It's fairly historic. It's brick. It's one of these typical Margate beach block houses that was built as best we can figure out, 20s or 30s. So, property owner determined it was going to keep the house, but it does need, as you can tell, a lot of updating. That's why we're here tonight. So we do have new plans to show what we potentially think, if the board agrees, would be a much better opportunity for the homeowners to maintain this property going forward. With me this evening, Mr. Schaefer is going to give a engineering and planning testimony to why the variances that we're seeking are justified. We also have Alex from the NSCO's office, who's going to testify as to the design of the house. So, Leo, I'd like to swear them, we'll have you swear them both in.
Sure.
And we get right into it.
All right, Mr. Schaefer and Alex, I forget your last name.
Cone.
Cone. Just give us your names and business addresses, and I'll swear the 2 of you in together.
Andy Schaefer, a principal in the firm of Schaefer National Society Consultant Engineers, and engineer planner in the state of New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm Alex Cohen with Daniel Scott Massey Architects, 1409 New Road, Northfield, New Jersey.
Okay, and if you can each please raise your right hand, each swear affirm the testimony you'll give this evening will be the truth?
You do.
Thanks.
You know, what I just put on Andy first, if you don't mind. So, Andy, you testified before this board on numerous occasions. We know that you're very qualified, but just for the record, tell us your general licensure and qualifications in the state of New Jersey.
I'm licensed engineer and planner since 1987. And before that, I was a licensed engineer in the state of Maryland.
Mr. Chairman, you know Mr. Schaefer.
Yes, absolutely.
Qualifications, so we have to have him qualified as an expert in the field of planning and engineering. And you are familiar with these plans, of course, you know the site, you know what the Romans wanted to do with their house, and
Certainly.
we're going to try to talk the board into letting us do that, so take it away.
I'm going to start on the photograph, and I believe the same photograph is from Robert's letter, which is very convenient. So I'm pointing to the house here. It's an L-shaped house.
And we're proposing to add a second story in the area that I'm pointing to here and here. The idea of the second story, I will leave that for other people, but it is a second story that would be less in height than the second story that already exists here and less than the other ones in the surrounding area. It is, as said already, in the S30 zone. The partial second story we're going to add. The horizontal house footprint is not being expanded, meaning the second story we're adding here won't go quite to the rear setback that the house currently enjoys or the side setback. So none of the setbacks are being exacerbated. The fact that they're going up, by definition, does exacerbate it. So we still need the variance.
This is pretty important to state on the record. We're not expanding the existing nonconformity out of the footprint, but we're going up, and because the existing nonconformity is already too far back, the elevation of the second floor is what's triggering the variance.
That's correct. That's correct. And beyond that, we are expanding slightly into the front yard to a distance of 30 feet or 35, excuse me, the 10 is permitted. So we're only moving up 5 feet of the 35 feet that currently exists.
And that's not a variance.
It's just, we're concentrating the impact to the area open in this yard, which compared to the other houses is quite a luxury, the amount of green space, deck space that's not building.
Just to how important this is on Beach Block, parking. We've got a lot of parking here on site that's going to be maintained with 5 spots.
That's correct. So there are 5 spots currently, and there will be 5 spots spaces afterwards.
We're not asking for an additional curb cut or widening the curb cut.
That's correct. So the curb cut won't change. And just as far as impact to the neighborhood, this is just enough. I'll get into the stuff that's reading shortly. But I did count. There are 7 3-story houses in this block and 3 2-story homes, one of which is the point of the application tonight. There's some pretty massive structures in here, and it's my contention that it's still not becoming too massive as compared to the big numbers. So we do need a C1 variance also, according to Roger's letter, which is a hardship variance. And there is a hardship here in that the house was originally built close to 100 years ago with it's very wide for the lot, leaving almost no setback on either side and very little setback in the rear. That's the hardship. You can't change that. So that, in my opinion, that does qualify as a hardship.
We talked a little bit before, I just want to make sure the board members are aware, not just hearing it from me. To the extent we wanted to tear this down and start from scratch, this is in fact a true double lot on the beach.
It actually exceeds the double lot. It's 3,000 square foot is required. We have over 6,000, and we also have the width. So we could subdivide and create 2 conforming lots with no variance if we were to choose to do that. As far as negative, and I've already covered the setback distances are not being increased. I guess exacerbated is the wrong word to use. Going up is an exacerbation. Negative criteria. The second story addition will not negatively impact the neighbors, especially since the second story we're adding is substantially less elevation than everything around it. And again, our front yard extension of the building does create a coverage variance, or exacerbates one that already exists. We're already a little over on coverage, and this will take us another 2 or 3% beyond that, creating an entrance, recreating an entrance to the building at the first floor.
So the trade-off to that, we did discuss, as you'll recall, with the property owner, adding as many shrubs as possible along the front, correct?
Correct, yes.
If we're going to do a through short, we're going to make sure that we have enough shrubs in the front. It's going to be fairly well landscaped.
So on to the C2 variance. And again, a C2 variance is one where you weigh the benefits versus detriments. And one of the things that in that test is what is the benefit to the public good? Well, let's be honest here, there is none. So we look at the negative. There is no negative in my opinion either, and in fact there are some positives, but not necessarily to the public. There's no like I said, no legitimate benefit to the public. The proposed addition causes this house to be more in character with the surrounding houses, like I did mention already in the C1 testimony. And in terms of setbacks and heights, it's actually less. Out of respect to the rear and side setbacks, we pushed the second story, as I already said, to the front and to the middle, away from the current side yards, which are non-conforming, and the rear yard.
I will stop you for a second, Joe. I want to add this. There is, I do believe, a benefit to the public, because by doing this project, they're not doing two of the standard B-block houses, which are bigger and higher.
You're right, because the density part, the density part of it is less than.
And the board always talks about bedroom count, especially on the B-block and the number of cars. We've got a double lot here. This could be 2 5-bedroom homes.
Easily,
Well,
yes.
so I would say there is a benefit.
Okay, by not pulling the trigger. Yes, okay. And then in my opinion, there's those substantial negative impacts, and it won't increase the density, if I've got no notes for the density or traffic by virtue of this development. And in spite of the variances requested, there's still light, air, and open space. I know, Roger, you'd like to hear some of the special reasons from 40:55P, and there are a couple of them under item C, provide adequate light, air, and open space, which this still does, especially when you compare it to the neighbors, it has a lot more open space than the neighbors. And last item, desirable visual environment is noted, will be noted by the architect, because we are going to be improving the house and as part of the full process.
Yeah, and we can show the board at least before you step down, you know, what we're looking at is the increase of, the old, the brick look, which looks right here, of course, and a different house about that in a second. But everything being done is in the character of this classic Margate B-block house. They're not modernizing it, making it ultra new. I mean, sometimes the ultra new is nice, but here they're really maintaining the character and just keeping it as close to what's existed for all these years as possible.
Right. And so at the end of this, it's my opinion, professional opinion, that the variances do not represent a detriment to the zoning ordinance or master plan, and the lot can accommodate the proposed addition without impacting the neighbors negatively. So,
Just so we go through the positive and negative one last time. As a professional planner and engineer, you're familiar with the state of New Jersey municipal land use law and the city of Margate zoning, correct?
correct, Dan.
Your testimony is given in light of the positive and negative criteria. You find the positives to greatly outweigh any negatives, correct?
Correct.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
So the variances are for existing non-conforming.
They really are.
Right, but isn't this, the second floor addition is really the main body of the work, right?
That's correct.
So the second floor addition is, are you pulling that in on the side and the rear so that it
Right.
conforms?
Bring it forward, so the setbacks for that second story are greater than the current existing rear setback, and the same thing for the side. We pulled it to the center of the lot, so the side setback of the second story is greater than the existing side yard on that side.
Right, but so, again, on the first floor, which is existing non-conforming,
Yes,
the only thing you're doing there, as far as I can tell, is putting that elevator shaft in. Is that correct?
on the first floor?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but that's correct. So the only thing going on the first floor is the elevator, and then the second floor on top of that is smaller than what's there now.
Right, so what, so why are you not, in other words, a lot of times when we do existing non-conforming, you're coming up from, let's say you're coming straight up.
Exactly.
But you're not doing that.
That's correct.
You're coming in. So why is that a variance?
Because they still don't meet the setback.
Huh?
They still don't meet the setback.
Oh, they still don't meet the
Yeah,
setback.
it's gotta be more than 10
Even though
feet.
it's less, it's not compliant, so we're here under a
Okay,
technical reason to be here, but we're here still.
okay.
It looks
All
like
right.
you're 10 feet from the right side, with
Yes.
the second story in.
Yes,
On the left side, did not change at all.
Did not
That's
change
still
at all.
2 feet, and you didn't touch that side at all.
not touching that end of the house, west end.
I understand. There's 10 feet on the upper story and the second floor.
Yes.
Okay. I get it. Craig, do you have something? Okay. All right.
I'll just read my report on the record real quick, go to variances.
House first, if you want, I mean, we don't have to. The property owners here as well to speak if you'd like, but
Let Roger do his report.
Well, I do have a question for Alex. What is that rear yard setback to the second floor addition? Because it's not shown in the table.
I think it's a 6.5.
The existing,
Oh, I see it, I see it.
left side of the lot has a 6.5 foot setback.
Right.
And our second floor proposed addition on the right side is going to meet that same 6.5 foot setback. So we're
Got it.
maintaining that same line across the back wall.
Okay. So the ocean side, you're gonna have 10 foot proposed from the property line. And what would be required there?
I believe it's a combined setback for.
Well, 10 foot's the minimum.
10 is the minimum, so you're meeting the minimum.
On the right side, the left side, we're not conforming because it's.
Well, wait, the left side, I don't understand, because the left side is.
It's not a variance.
It's not a variance, right, right. And then the rear, the proposed is 6.5, and what would be conforming in the rear?
12 and a half?
All right.
12 and a
okay.
half.
All right, okay.
So I'll run these by.
Okay, sounds good. Just wanted to make one more point. I know we're talking about coverage, but because you're punching it forward, but if you push that rear forward, then we would lose more, right? We lose more coverage, right? Because, yeah, okay, I get it. Go ahead.
Sure, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just looking at the zoning chart on page 2 of my report, we'll go over the variances real quick. I appreciate Alex's and Andy's testimony. So the right yard setback, minimum's 10 foot. They are meeting the 10-foot setback for the second floor. However, the combined side yard setback is the sum of the left side and some of the right side. They still don't add up to 22 feet, so that's still a variance, but they are not making it worse. So it's 12.7 feet is the combined. The right side setback is not a variance, but it is existing non-conforming. Oh, wait a minute, you're adding that attic space, so the right side setback of 3.2 carries, because you're, correct?
We are keeping a roof line on that right side that will be unfinished attic space.
So you're raising that wall up on the right side, so at the 3.2, right?
Yes.
So that is a variance for the 3.2. Got it. Building coverage, again, they are, Andy said they're into the front yard setback. You're actually in the building envelope, but you're going towards the front. That's a variance where existing is 46.72%, and they're seeking 48.5%, where they're permitted 30%. And again, they're actually getting it somewhat penalized for having a larger lot with a lower building coverage requirement, percentage-wise. The shrubs, those variances go away, they will comply. I figured that would be the case. And again, just some housekeeping stuff. When you come in for permits, you will be subject to the substantial improvement requirements of the city's flood damage prevention ordinance. I don't see that being an issue here. And I'd have to say preserving this house and improving it is probably a benefit in its own for the city of Margate. I have no further comment.
And your coverage, you're only, if I'm doing the math correctly, you're talking about another 100 square feet, right? Yeah. Is that right, Dean?
110.
110, yeah. Okay. All right.
But you're covered, you're not removing grass, you're covering
Right.
lot coverage.
Right. Okay. Are you,
Full rest subject, of course, if the board has any further questions.
Right. Okay, anyone from the board? Nope. Anyone from the public? Oh, go ahead.
The back of the house, that 3 feet from the back to the property line is all concrete.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, just to follow up maybe on Drew's comment, has no influence on the decision for the variances, and would ask you, I think, to see what you could do in permeable space.
Okay, fair enough.
Governor's Strip, I think it's the only house in the block that doesn't have a grass governor's strip.
South side.
But again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no trees.
Oh, Governor's, doesn't need trees.
No. The only concern I would raise about the Governor Strip is that would be the only grass for this property.
Yeah.
And
There's no sprinkler there, so.
to run to Home Depot to buy a lawnmower for that, I mean, it's
It's
not.
more about the sprinkler, that there's no way to, if,
Yeah.
no one's gonna go out there with some watering can, so, good idea, of course, but there just doesn't seem to be a way to keep the grass living.
Plus, honestly, you're so close to the ocean, and we had any type of flooding, it's gonna all wash away.
It's a
or
fairly
get killed.
busy street as
Yeah.
well, as far as,
Right.
foot
Okay.
traffic, so it's kind of.
Right.
And to tie into what I think Drew and John were getting at is maybe consider removing some of that concrete, maybe put some porous pavers in the back, see.
So I know we've done this in the past, we could put something in the resolution that the property owner will work with you and use all best efforts to try to keep it as pervious as possible. I don't know what that means, other than we'll try to, it's not a requirement.
Well, thanks for trying.
Yeah, and then, look, the property owners are here, they want to make this as nice as possible for a very long time, so I think, yeah, we're working.
Okay. All right, anybody else from the board? Okay. Anyone from the public? Okay, public portion split.
Rob, you're good on total landscaping and front, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's existing non-conforming.
And then, as I look at it, the rear yard's non-conforming at 2.2. You're still not meeting that, but you're coming in to about 6.5.
6.5, right.
All right, so C variance, I have technically 4 variances. There's a side yard setback on the right side, 10 feet's required. They're at 3.2
For the attic space.
for the attic. The added space, there's a
The
wall
attic
now.
space,
Oh, the
yeah.
attic space is at 3.2. I think the actual second floor addition's at 10 feet, which would comply, attic space. The combined side yard setback, 22 feet's the requirement, they're at 5.9 feet. Again, it's not really changing. Then the rear yard setback, the requirement's 12.5 feet. They're at 2.2. The addition is at 6.5 feet. And then the building coverage, 30% is allowed. They're slightly increasing that from 46.72% to 48.5%. And the landscaping variances go away. And then we'll note applicant will comply with any representations it made during the course of the hearing, anything else in Mr. McCartney's report, unless otherwise addressed, subject to any outside approvals, just the standard conditions, and you'll keep it as pervious as possible.
Any improvement is appreciated.
And the flood damage prevention ordinance is comfortable there.
Right.
Okay. So we need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Mike Richmond?
I really don't see any detriment to the neighborhood. I mean, it's a huge house, and you're really doing a modest addition. And like we say, we like to preserve the older houses if we can, and I think in this situation, we're doing that. Well, I'm gonna vote for it.
Rich Patterson?
I'll vote in favor. I don't see any detriments. I think it's good that 2 lots or 1 house on 2 lots is good for density, and I approve.
Craig Palmisano?
The whole left side of the house stays the same, doesn't change at all. The right side is changing, the second floor is getting 10 feet. It's a nice project, and I'm glad to stay in there, the house. Thank you.
Johanna Persky?
It's definitely a very special lot to still exist, and I think it's certainly contributing to the character of Margate.
Stephen Giuseppe?
I agree with my fellow board members. It's a nice piece of property, and we're preserving something that I think needs to be preserved. I approve.
Drew Campbell?
Yeah, I'm with Steve as well. I like preserving the full houses. And we're not losing any parking.
during this, with this project, so I approve.
Patty Rosenberg,
I agree with everybody else.
John Pitts.
It's a great property, I like keeping that property without dividing it into some smaller properties. If that home is truly 100 years old, amazing. Maintaining that home, so I approve.
Motion carries 8 in favor and 0 opposed.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. All right, so if anybody's here for Triumph Development, we're gonna ixnay that case for this month. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, Chris Balance said to try development group, we're gonna do that, carry out the next month.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Next month, November 20th, 7 PM actually. So if anyone's here for the application of Triumph Development Group LLC, 323 North Huntington Avenue, that's gonna be November 20th, 2025 at 7 PM in this room. And I assume you're not gonna, you wanna waive the notice.
We would ask them, we would not be required to.
So and the applicant will not be required to renotice or republish. So here's your formal announcement for that. I just found this out, or if anyone is here for that, sorry you sat here for an hour, 2 hours. But
Okay.
20th.
November 20th.
20th.
20th, 7 PM. Ooh.
We had this.
All right. We're here for the last case. Betty's Barbecue, LLC, 9315 Amherst Avenue, Block 527, Lot 3.01, located in the WSD zoning district, seeking minor site plan approval and potentially others in order to maintain a shed for the service of ice cream and dessert items next to Betty's Barbecue and Betty's Seafood. Current on taxes, water and sewer payments, proof of advertising, and notifications provided, represented by Christopher Balance.
I'll start off real quick. Again, I'm very familiar with the site. This location received site plan approval back in 2015, I believe. So, talking to Mr. Marshall, by state law and as a continuation of the COVID rules and regulations, he came in for outdoor dining with adding a outdoor ice cream shack out on the deck, which means it's a temporary permit. Temporary permits have to be renewed every year. They can only exist out there between May and November. And then it has to be removed. So what Mr. Michelle is doing is he's seeking site plan a waiver. And again, I fully agree with that because nothing's changing other than the accessory structure. Accessory structures are permitted for commercial use. They have to be in the backyard. Unfortunately, it's in the front yard, even though it doesn't look, looks a lot nicer than a walk-in refrigerator along Amherst Avenue, but still, to legalize what he wants to do is keep it up year-round, even though he's going to be using it seasonally, just like the temporary permit, so he doesn't have to take it down, set it up again, take it down, set it up again.
Lift it off.
Yeah, so again, it just legalizes it for year-round use. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If it gets denied, I can approve it every year. Nothing's going to change other than it'll be gone in the wintertime. That's it. So it's a variance for front yard location of an accessory structure in a commercial zone.
Is this just for the duration of the ownership of that property? So like
You can put a condition on that, right? Well, he doesn't own it. He just runs it.
As long as he operates that, as long as he's operating that business, sure.
Right.
Okay.
That's it, as long as he's
Yeah, so
operating a restaurant there, yes.
if he turns that business over, then that goes away?
Well, you can put that as a condition of approval.
Doesn't have to be, right?
No, it
Doesn't
doesn't
have
have
to
to be. You could just be, like the donut place got changed into something else, you know, it's the
I
same
would say
thing.
if it has to remain a similar use.
That's a good point,
If the subsequent
yeah.
owner or operator of that wants to use it, just shouldn't make it, take it down, that's up to you guys when we get there. If somebody else wants to run it in a restaurant, let it stay.
But I think Roger made a good point, that maybe a condition would be, it would be a similar use. like,
Of course,
yeah,
we have to be.
right.
We have to be.
A retail establishment.
Well-
They turn it into a storage area.
That's a good
Yeah, yeah,
point. That's a good point, yeah.
My name is Chris Ellis, I represent, Steve Marshall, the proprietor of that business and the principal of that entity that's here today. What we're really here for is to ask you that ice cream for the building that was built on the deck not be removed between December and May. It's allowed to be there 8 months of the year with the outdoor dining rules. Technically, you would have to be deconstruct and then put back up and get a permit for that every single year. We're asking that this board allow it to remain so long as a restaurant is operated from Betty's Barbecue or Betty's Seafood on that deck.
And I want to add to that ice cream stand remains accessory to that principal use.
Absolutely, agreed.
Okay.
That location was chosen, believe it or not, that location was chosen over putting it down in the parking area which is left. All those parking spaces could be seated under that statute. Every one of them. It could be, the structure could be down there, but Steve chose, we're going a few seats up on the deck to be able to serve ice cream, as opposed to taking up parking. The front yard setback is a unique situation because if you, number one, the location of it now has the benefit of that 10-foot right-of-way in front of it to the right-of-way line of the street. So that in effect could be looked at as a front yard. However, where it is now, that whole thing's a front yard all the way back to the restaurant. So you can't, there's no backyard. For it to be in the backyard, it has to be in the water. It has to be in the bay. So you can look at that kind of as a hardship. There's no real rear yard to put it in at that location. So from a hardship standpoint, I think I can rely on that and rely on the papers I submitted with the application. Aside from that, I think Steve would tell you it's been a tremendous success.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have complimented him. They said it's good for the whole area, which we would argue promotes the general welfare. And certainly, he'll tell you if you'd like him to talk that nobody's complained about it. It's only been complimented. With that, we would ask that minor site plan be granted, get that variance be granted, so that it can remain there on a year-round basis, accessory to whatever restaurant operates up on that deck. Thank you.
Anybody from the board have any questions?
So if, whatever we write will be conditional that it can only operate during whatever the outdoor season is mandated by the state law, is that?
No, that's the reason we're here, because we're here to say that they don't have to abide by that. They can operate it 12 months out of the year, and it's not a temporary thing.
Yeah, I mean, if, say there's
We're not here to operate 12 months out of the year, we're here so we don't have to take it down. But if there's, all of a sudden, Margate has a Christmas fest in the Bayfront, you certainly want to do that.
sell hot chocolate or something.
Right.
All right, I
Roast.
just wanted
Yeah.
to clarify.
No, that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Good question.
And we're going to make sure that the condition is going to be that it remains some type of retail, like you say. We don't want a storage shed.
Right.
It's accessory to whatever permitted use
Right,
is in the building.
yeah. Okay. All right, so anyone from the public? Public portion is closed. We go.
Okay, it's just that one variance, it's to allow the accessory building in the front yard. That they've requested a site plan or a minor site plan waiver with that because, for the reason stated, it's not really a huge change to the site, and it's there temporarily, and they just want to make it permanent. The conditions, again, we'll note that that building has to remain an accessory use to whatever permitted use is operating at that property. I guess that can be interpreted as being storage, though. It's accessory.
But not for storage, like an active use, permitted use.
Active use, not storage type of thing.
Yeah, whatever you can think of. I think I understand that.
We got enough on the record. We want it to be not storage. And then anything else in Mr. McLaren's report unless otherwise addressed.
Yeah, you can put to be used for retail sales, accessory to the other building.
Okay. It's ice cream, right?
Yeah. Ice cream.
It's ice cream,
Retail
retail?
sales.
Ice cream.
Someone else-
Yes.
Okay.
You wanna serve something else? Restaurant serves something else.
You would know. Okay, and then, we'll get that language and I think everyone's clear on the intent there. And then if there's anything else in Mr. McLaren's report, unless otherwise addressed, then need any outside approvals, it's subject to those. And again, it's the site plan waiver and that one variance to allow the accessory structure in the front yard.
And
Amherst.
when it says accessory to that primary use, that same operator, you can't sub that out.
You okay with that same operator? Yeah, then I don't know if it would be, that would probably defeat accessory.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
And I don't believe it's subject to CAFR either because it's behind an existing building.
Yeah, so we'll need a motion, a second, and a roll call vote.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mike Richmond?
Yeah, I don't, I mean, if anything, that's a great improvement to that area. It's commercial, we're trying to make that as people-friendly as we can, and I approve it.
Rich Patterson?
Yeah, I think that whole area's been a tremendous success. And ice cream is a natural addition to all the new restaurants and everything that are there, so I approve.
Craig Thomasana?
The grandkids missed the ice cream parlor when I left. The only complaint I have is sometimes the lines are too long there. I approve.
Johanna Persky?
The kids in town need someplace to go, so I think it's a great permanent addition. I approve.
Steve Giuseppe?
I see it as a substantial benefit. I think it's great. Yes, I approve.
Drew Campbell?
I've thought long and hard about this. I got some copies of this last week, and I'm going to approve it.
Patty Reisenberg?
But the shack or no shack, it doesn't, it's not as obstructive as your next door neighbor towards Rockport, and it's at the same, view along the street, and it's more fun, so I approve.
John Pitt?
I approve, long live Betty.
Thank you.
Motion carries 8 in favor and 0 opposed.
You have anything else? No? All right, the motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.